example of a lawyer who appeared in court dressed as a native doctor, and that generating a lot of controversy. But then, and then again, throughout history, we see that as our political system has changed advantage of that, and that's why I make reference to as an indirect in the essay. But what I'd like to talk about, like in the essay when I was making reference to, is how, particularly how that continues to shift, to sh- it's something that has where even in our most recent election, you had the controversy of whether there was going to be Muslim ticket or not. And it's something that is very, very emotional, something that we care about very much in our more strict obedience, and then we have more strict obedience, and then we have six are still very intermingled in the Nigerian system. In the past, six are still very intermingled in the Nigerian system. In the past, it was more in the northern system. You had the Kabi, who was both the religious head and political head, and then in southwest you had the Alafin, and then you also had that element of gerontocracy where in Igbo land that was the system where the Okpara was the head, and then it's still in Nigeria. You still have that system prevailing where the where and this was something I did not include in the essay, but that was because I was worried about how it was going to proceed. Because yeah, well, in globally we have that trend of leaders being older. In Nigeria, it's more as a result of our culture, more of a result of our system, where we like to say, okay, like we should respect our elders, and then so they will often take precedence in our political arena, and then they also that element of godfatherism, where you usually have an older person sponsor you in the political system. But then I'll read out some elements from the essay itself so that you can so I can remind you about some of the things that were in it. I just want to let us have a broader discussion about the way things work back then. So then even right now we see that one of the hotbed issues in Nigeria is over the emirship of Kano, and then we see that that's still a very important issue because that traditional system or holds that position is still seen as very powerful and responsible in Nigeria. And I just want to quickly make reference to while the fact that while the it's still prominent in Nigeria, the traditional institutions, they are not as prominent because during the time of indirect rule, the British did a lot to subvert those institutions, to turn the people against them, because they used the institutions as tools of oppression. And then it's something that we often refer to as neo-colonialism or indirect rule these days. And then so historically, the Emirates they still have a lot of power, and then that element of the theocratic system still remains. And then in the Igbo speaking system, which I make.
Hi, Mr. Madwago. Sorry, I have to cut you now. You have exhausted your 10 minutes for presentation. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to thank you for your presentation. I'm just going to quickly hand over to the panel, starting with Dr. Tochukwu. If you're here, then we would hear from Dr. Steve.
I joined very late. I guess other
okay. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, that's fine. Let's have Mr. Enang, then after which we'll have Dr. Steve give feedback. Thank you.
Right, can you hear me? All right. Chukwemeka.
Yeah, good evening. Good afternoon, sorry.
Good afternoon. You've articulated your thoughts very well. There was that logical transition. I want to, if I want to say, I could understand and I could marry between what you have on here and what you've just spoken. But then I have a slight issue with your paper.
Okay.
Yeah, the issue is that there is no in-text citation here.
There's no, sorry?
No in-text citation.
Oh,
on your,
okay. Oh,
and
sorry.
then there is no corresponding referencing. Okay, because your in-text citation has to correspond with your referencing. Being
that, but then
just
okay.
just hold on. Right. Also, I can see that you have only 3, references here, and the 3 are, Falola, though Falola with Eaton, Falola with Genova, Falola with Mahadi. Oh, all right. So what happens to, other comfort zone to explore those works, first to bring them in? The question.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. So, sorry about the lack of in-text citations. I was wondering about that. I thought it was, since we were limited to just 1,500 words, that putting them would make it a lot, and that's why I limited myself to just 3 references, because we were told that our references could only be 50 words long as part of the rules of the essay, and that's why I limited the amount of in-text citation I put, and then I didn't think it was necessary because I thought it was just more a test of our writing skills. I'm sorry, I'll take that note in future. And then the reason why I picked Falola, I use most of his work was because he's so prominent in the discourse about Nigeria, and particularly pre-colonial and colonial Nigeria. Yes, I know there are a lot of other historians that have done some work on that, like Omobi, and even I saw some work done by his name escapes me now. But yeah, Jeff Ajayi, they've done some work on that. But the reason I picked him was because he's still very active, and just the level of prominence of his work, and his work is the work I had the easiest access to, because most of the other work you can't find them online. They're not as easy to get access to, which is history in general, because you can't find a lot of text. And their works are either locked behind paywalls or in libraries that you have to visit physically. So, but that's one area where Falola work is very good, and then that's why I use him very often. Although I understand your concern in that it doesn't offer a wide range of perspectives. I'll take that as a note. Thank you, sir.
Well, based on your answer, I'm sure Dr. Steve would have a lot to say about your last.
Thank you, Maduaga, and good afternoon. Can you that you have presented an essay or an article that does not carry idea as to what is the topic you are centering your discussion over, you will be finding it difficult to get to assimilate or factor out the religious system, segmented discussion as how those influences either or to say that sense for your reader or your audience in they have